they're having all the celebrations in New York. That's another thing. Yesterday, all the parades around town. It's kind of neat. Like if you went, like then they had the whole congregation at the Meadowlands. They were all talking. Tom Coughlin made a few words. I was listening it to the fan yesterday, and like Eli Manning spoke. Brandon Jacobs spoke, and I thought it was pretty. It's a neat experience, and for those players, it's got to be a really cool feeling. Having all those fans like cheering you on after winning that Super Bowl. I mean, as an athlete, there can't be any greater feeling than winning that big championship, being world champions.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I mean, with me being a Canucks fan, a Rays fan, and a Pats fan, the last 5 years, 10 years, well, the last 5 years or so, I've been pretty much the king of the silver medal, depending with sports. So I haven't. It's been a while since I've felt that Super Bowl or just a championship win in general.
Yeah, Patriots. I mean, again, when you gotta look at it, you also gotta look in the future for next year. One thing I'm looking at is that you see Giants like they're like if you were to look at these teams like who's likely to make it to the more likely to make it to the Super Bowl next year, I might go with the Patriots just because they're in a much easier conference. The AFC overall is a lot less competitive than the NFC. The NFC you have a lot better teams. So it's harder to make it in the NFC than it is the AFC.
Well, in the AFC you also have the Steelers and the Ravens.
Yeah, but look at what the Giants had to go through to get here. Like they had to beat the Cowboys.
I think by now we can probably eliminate the Cowboys as a top competitive team.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, but they had to go through all these teams. Like they had to beat the Cowboys. They had to.
Well, the Jets aren't an easy team for the Patriots either. They're still a very strong team.
And then again, you're also looking at the Packers. The Packers again.
The Packers are probably one of, if not the best, one of the best teams in all of football. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to agree with you on that one.
So probably my guess is it's either going to be the Packers, the Pats, or the Giants are going to come in the next season, depending on what goes on during the offseason as the number one team. Giants, they're defending Super Bowl champions. Plus, if they have a good most of their guys coming back to get any new draft guys.
Do you think the Giants will even make the playoffs next year?
Well, we gotta see. Obviously next year's a long way away. We have to see how everything goes in the off season. Obviously, like something could happen. Like if Eli got hurt or something, then I don't think they could do it. But as of now, I think so. Like if they had this roster coming back in, obviously they've been beating every team they've been playing. They've been on a streak. So the Giants are good. And now let's go back a bit more into the game. One guy I wanted to mention was Steve Weatherford on the Giants.
Who's that?
Steve Weatherford is the punter for the New York Giants.
The punter? Why are we talking about a punter?
We were looking at him before the show, Damon. Come on. Anyways, Steve Weatherford, a lot of people overlooked him. He had a really good game.
He did have a really good game. How many times did he bring it down within the 5?
Yeah, I think it was like twice he got it like inside the 5. And the only other one, it would have been even deeper. The ball was like at the 2. It just had a bad bounce and it went into the end zone. It went high and into the end zone.
Yeah. And the other one, well, he also had a really lucky bounce. Remember, it landed at the 10 and just went straight up in the air.
Yeah. So he kind of got one good bounce, one not so good bounce. But overall, again, that punting, that really, again, that pinned the Patriots in positions where it would be tough for them to make plays. And if the Giants didn't punt the ball as well, they would have got the ball in better field.
Also,
and this is what caused the unintentional grounding.
I was just going to say that. This is the reason why the Giants had that early 2-point lead. How often do we say that in the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. I think it's probably the first ever 2-0 lead, unless
I'm
you can think
pretty
of
sure it's the only safety to ever happen in the
I think
Super
they
Bowl.
said there was a few other safeties in the Super Bowl, but
There could have been. But doesn't happen.
Well, that might have been
often.
the only intentional grounding safety.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, an intentional grounding safe. Well, I mean, I can't believe I've never seen that.
Well, we saw it in the Falcons game.
We've seen that before, but not in the Super Bowl, in a big situation.
I remember laughing about it, saying the Giants in the Giants-Falcons game, we scored the Falcons points for them, because that was the only 2 points they scored all game. And obviously, when I saw that happen, when the Giants went 2-0, I'm like, oh, is this going to be a repeat of the Falcons? They scored their points for us, and now we're kind of doomed. But the Giants were able to turn it back on, and obviously this game, it was. I thought the game was not going to be high scoring. I was correct in low scoring. I know a few other experts were saying high scoring. I mean, 2 great offenses, but again, it's a Super Bowl. It brings a whole different level. I'm not sure if you noticed that, but there's a lot more pressure on the offensive players and defensive players as well. But overall, I was impressed. There wasn't too many turnovers in this game.
There wasn't. Actually, there could have been. That was another problem for the Patriots. There could have been a lot of turnovers. They forced the fumble a lot.
Yeah.
They forced it a few times, and every single time, the Giants recovered. The only time the Patriots recovered the ball on a fumble was when they had a stupid mistake and had 12 men on the field.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, the 12 men on the field call, remember, they had no idea. They all thought they were all supposed to be out there. When
Yeah,
they
who was the counter? Someone should have been counting how many players were on the field. Nobody was.
Nobody was.
So that's a mistake on whoever's out there who's supposed to count every
That's the
single
thing. When
man.
you're coming to the Super Bowl, you cannot be making mistakes like that.
No, and that's also the defensive coordinator's problem also. And even Belichick's problem because he says he's a big defensive genius. And, the Patriots defense...
You can't expect to win games and have that kind of thing happen.
No, you can't. And that's why they didn't win. They
Okay.
made too many stupid mistakes. They're starting to become predictable on the offense. I called almost every single Hail Mary Tom Brady has thrown for an interception this year. Because every time they either get a turnover or they start to get a little antsy and they're in the shotgun, they're going for a Hail Mary. You stick someone back there, it's intercepted.
Yeah,
every
that
single
pass he threw
time.
where that Blackburn intercepted.
I
was a
called that.
stupid
That was
pass.
stupid. What were you thinking?
I mean, at that point, you didn't need to get the ball that far down the field, and
No, you didn't. And that was a time
you
where
were winning.
You were winning. You just had to do the short
Run the
passes that
ball.
they've been doing all year. The efficiency of the short passes to Welker and to Hernandez and even to Gronkowski, they should have done that. But instead they said, let's test our luck, throw it downfield, interception.
Yeah, when they were winning, that's what they were doing. They were doing a lot of short gain, like inching their way up the field.
And that's what they do all the time, and that's how they win. But they decided to go off of their game plan and do something stupid like that.
And then again, like you mentioned the fumbles earlier. When you do get a team like the Giants to fumble it, you got to capitalize and get that ball back. You can't just let them recover their own fumbles. If you're the Patriots, you got to capitalize on those turnovers. You got to take advantage of every opportunity, especially in the Super Bowl. You cannot just let that go away like that. You got to capitalize on that.
Did you notice that ever since the safety that started the game, the Patriots defense, every time they tackled, they're going to strip the ball. They weren't even trying to tackle them after a while. They're just stripping the ball. Even in the first quarter. Why are you trying to get a turnover in the first quarter? You still have 3 quarters left of the game. Get your man, get the tackles, stop the run.
I mean, yeah, if you can get a strip, I mean, get it, but, I mean, you don't want to give up yards.
And that's what they were doing. They were giving up yards because every single defensive lineman and even sometimes the middle linebackers, they were just going for a strip. Every time.
Yeah.
So, that's an issue that you need to work on as a defense to know when is a good situation to try to get a turnover and when it's stupid to. I mean, if you could get the strip, that's great. I mean, they even force a few fumbles, so it works sometimes, but they never receive the ball back. So that's the downside to it.